at some point I just kind of have to accept that I'm in a reading slump. Hi guys, my name's Akenna and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. And I took a quiz the other day that said I was more e-girl than anything, but today I'm feeling soft. So we are just doing a whole soft makeup look and theme today because I feel like soft is kind of pouty and I'm mad at myself and I'm tired and I really just want to watch The Office, but I want to film this too so that I can get it up and so that I can get other videos up so I'm not posting multiple of the same content and forms in a row, because I don't want to do that either. So today I'm going to be talking about the 3 books that I read in September. Another shit reading month. I only read 3 books in August. I only read 3 books in September. Hopefully October will be better, but without further ado, let's just kind of jump into the books that I read in September. The first book that I read in September, or should I say finished in September, was Shadow and Flame by Mindy Arnett, which is the second book in the Rhyme Chronicles duology, obviously by Mindy Arnett. As you can see, I have a lot of tabbed annotations in it. I really enjoyed my read of this. I gave it 4.5 stars. As this is the sequel to Onyx and Ivory, I can't really get into any of the details or things that happened in Shadow and Flame without getting spoilery of what happened in Onyx and Ivory. However, I did really enjoy this, even though I don't think I really liked it as much as the first book in the installment. Although I don't really think I liked it as much as the first installment in the series. Thinking about it now, I know that I definitely really like this series and I really hold it dear. I think this book may have dragged it down just a tad, so it might not be my favorite series of the year. It might be, I don't really know yet. I still have a few months to figure that out. But for those of you that don't know, Onyx and Ivory, the first book in the series, is a long synopsis book. I really kind of don't want to get into this, but let's do it. There is the main character, Kate Brighton, whose father tried to assassinate the king years ago, and now she is dealing with the repercussions of that, being labeled Traitor Kate. She is living her own life, dealing with the repercussions by being a relay rider, which is the courier service for this world, kind of like the Pony Express. As she is dealing with this, she is also harboring an illegal power. She is a wilder, which are the illegal magicians in this world, where she can talk to animals. She has the power of sway, so she can sway animals, and she is dealing with living with that as well. And lo and behold, her old love, Prince Corwin, comes into town after being gone for a few years on his own midlife crisis, basically. So it just basically follows them as she has to go back to the castle after all these years of not being allowed there, of being labeled a traitor, and just kind of what they have to do to survive. And when the trial comes, which is basically the 2 sons of the king have to fight to see who will be the next king, and that whole thing, it's very interesting. I really enjoyed book 1 as well as book 2. I think specifically in book 2 there were some liberties taken with the story that I can't necessarily say are good or bad. I think that the story worked out in a certain way. I think that it could have been a little more nuanced as much as the plot, or as far as the plot goes, and the plot pacing. I think sometimes it was really fast and sometimes it was dragging, and I think it could have been a little more consistent. I do also really hope that Mindy continues on with this specific storyline that is kind of revealed at the end of this book. I really want to see more books in this world because I really love the magic system in this world in general. And my absolute favorite thing about both of these books are the characters. The characters are just wonderful. Pretty much every single character I love so much. So if you are looking for a great new fantasy series, I would highly recommend the Rhyme Chronicles duology by Mindy Arnett. Second book I read this month was Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Erin Hicks, which I gave 4 stars. I really loved this graphic novel. I was in the mood for something kind of cutesy and fun, and I had previously read something by Faith Erin Hicks, what is it called? It's not the exact opposite of Okay, because that's Laura Stephen. It was Nothing Can Possibly Go Wrong by Faith Erin Hicks. Wonderful graphic novel, by the way, if you want a graphic novel recommendation. But when I knew that she had been coming out with this with Rainbow Rowell, I knew I had to read it, and I loved it so much. The main character, I believe Deja is her name, I loved her character more than anything. I didn't really like Josiah as much. I thought he was kind of dumb and idiotic. But I did really enjoy this graphic novel, and I enjoyed that it got me into the fall spirit a little bit more. I love Faith Erin Hicks so much. I love Rainbow Rowell so much, and their graphic novel together was wonderful. And the third book I read this month is a book that I mentioned in my books I'm bringing to college with me, that I said I had to read for class, that I said I would mention in a wrap of when I finished it, and that is The Other Westmore by Westmore, which I gave 3.5 stars. There's a lot to unpack about this book, and I don't really like saying that I didn't particularly like it just because it is someone's life story. However, the author of this book, Westmore, is not an author. He, I believe, went to school for something else, and it kind of shows. I talked about the first book that I read this month needing it to be more nuanced. I thought that this book could have improved on like where things are placed throughout the story. So it switched back and forth between the narrator Westmore and the other Westmore's point of views pretty like weirdly, weird places, and it skipped over random years and random events that held significance to both stories, which I thought was kind of weird. I also think we didn't really explore the other Wes's story as much as we could have or should have to really solidify any opinions that we have about him or that we would have about him or that the narrator Westmore has about him. I just feel as though it is not as fleshed out as it should or could have been. One specific example of this is that because you start out the story knowing that the other Westmore is in prison for life, but he claims that he wasn't there that night, but we never explore his side of that story, which I think we should. We should have like talked about it a little bit more and kind of discussed what that meant for everything involved. Another thing that I didn't really like about this is due to the fact that I read it for class, my professor said, it's about choices. It'll help you like realize that choices have consequences and make the correct choices for things. However, I don't really think that is the message of this story. I think that both of the characters are more affected by the choices made by people around them than their own choices, and it is a lot more about how the growing environment affects the children as opposed to their own choices. So I don't really agree with that. Overall, it was okay. I think it could have some impact depending on where you are in your life. I just don't think it was for me at this point in my life, and that's okay. So those were the books that I read in September. Hopefully October is better. I don't really have anything else to say other than that, and let me know down in the comments below literally anything. Like, how's your day going? What did you read in September? Have you read any of these books ever? All those deets down there. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you sometime for a new one. Bye!